programmatic level. And we have a lot of inspired community portals that were presented yesterday. And we saw also in the Gavin presentation new community portal emerging also in the other countries, our neighbor countries. We have catalogs and we have data access services. So this is very easy. So it's quite easy to show that Europe can contribute to GEOS, just simply plug in what we are doing for Inspire and plug in also and made available the same information on a global environment. The second challenge is more complex. I think that we have some responsibility, and one of the responsibility we need really to influence this initiative that we are selecting. And the best way to influence the development is to offer our technical solutions that are tested and implemented, so there is an added value in what we are doing, because we are not just providing solutions that are theoretical or developed only by the academic work, but we are proposing solutions that are tested, implemented, so in a way have some kind of certification about their operationality. But at the same time, I think that it's valuable to offer best practice, guidelines, and any kind of material that is developed by the GEO community so far. This doesn't mean that this solution should be automatically adopted, but they could be the reference for further development on a global environment. Just a few examples. Inspire architecture has already much more requirement comparing to the GCI. We have already identified the need to have European registers, like a gazetteer, glossary, a repository of spatial schema used for the Inspire data specification, etc., etc. All these repositories are publicly available and can be used also as a component for a future global information system or global spatial data infrastructure. We have developed methodology quite unique for the development of the Inspire data specification that is composed by a conceptual model with starting with the definition of teams, use case analysis, and then the methodology to transform use case in data specification. So all this is valuable because it's a unique model to develop data specification in a context like open and participatory transparent process approach. We have other challenges dealing with multilinguality. We are not yet mature. We are not ready to offer a solution today, but in the future, we have dealing with the diversity of European countries is the same to deal with the diversity of South America countries, of Asian countries. So the methodology and the tools that we will develop probably could be adapted to other regions of our planet. The third challenge is to promote our way to do the things. So Inspire as approaches. When you look to the, I would say, surprising development of Inspire across Europe, we sit in 2001 and nobody was really thinking that today we are sitting here discussing about problems related to the implementation and started to debate we can do better if we do it this way. And surprising, as was mentioned yesterday by my colleague Daniel Rizzi, some countries are asking more and not less. This is quite surprising. When you have a legislative approach, normally people have the tendency to do the minimum. Here we have the impression that you want to do more and you want to profit of the opportunity to have this kind of directive to force your country to modernize e-government services. Why we have this? Because the full Inspire directive has been developed together. It was not something that 2-3 commission officers have wrote, but it was part of a really participatory approach which experts of the member states, the stakeholder community, several consultations. So this is a model, and this project, I think, is a good project that can be exported also to develop global environmental information system. So building the community, but also building the spirit. And this is the only way to solve difficulties when different countries could have different views, different ideas. if we are working together and we have confidence in each other, it's possible to find compromise and to mediate solutions. I just give an example for our colleagues that are not familiar with Inspire. The Inspire community today is more than 360 spatial data inter-community registered, about more than 200 legal mandate organization registered. This means something like 3,000 people that are following, commenting, using, and registered in the Inspire website. And the Inspire forum that we created recently have created immediately a lot of special interest group for discussion. So showing that when you provide a platform for discussion, when you provide a means to contribute to the development and improvement of our policy framework, then people are clearly reacting. And I was just to mention how many comments we received for the data specification. We received 7,500 comments. All the comments were processed, analyzed, and considered in drafting the data specification implementing rules. We did 358 meetings. So when I show these figures to my director general, I say, you are spending too much money in meetings and conferences. Why you don't work at home? And I said, if we work at home, nobody will accept what we are doing. So it's important that all this work is done in a very collaborative and cooperative framework. For challenge 4, Inspire as a conceptual model. Why Inspire is also successful? Because it's leaving the freedom to each countries, to each member states, to find a more appropriate solution to develop its own and national SDI. We are not imposing rules about how to coordinate things. We are not imposing rules how to develop the NSDI, centralized, decentralized, fully decentralized, mix it, etc. There is a large freedom. We work on the interoperability of services, we work on interoperability of data, and that we focus on this type of things. But not only. We have, since the beginning, decided to have a stepwise implementation. Stepwise implementation make our lives quite difficult. It will be easier not to have 3 annexes and to have all the specification developed in one step. But this is a big cost for the member states to do everything in one step. So we decided to split in 3 annexes and to have progressive implementation for data interoperability. When we develop the implementing rules on metadata, we take, again, this principle. It's clearly that the best would be to have metadata for discovery, evaluation, and use. But say why we want to try to charge the member states in creating such complex metadata when maybe nobody will use this data set. So leave the obligation only to the discovery part and leave optional to document additional tags for evaluation and use. This is the philosophy of Inspire. So we are every time defining the minimum burden for the member states, but leaving the possibility to add information and to do something more complex when resources and people clearly justify this. Cost-benefit consideration, as I mentioned, are the key of all our decisions. And again, feasibility of this solution. So when member states is in difficulty for one of the Inspire implementing rules means that implementing rules is not correct. And then we need to revise and to adapt to the local diversity. And then this possibility to evolve the infrastructure. I think that Inspire will not the top-class infrastructure that we can have on the base of state-of-the-art technology, but will be an infrastructure operational. And then we can clearly, in the coming year, think things about improving and be more ambitious. When this infrastructure will start to operate and provide services to the users, there will be a justification to improve the services and systems. So one of the more interesting lessons from Inspire was this slide, that is the balance challenge. All our reflection is every time to find the right decision, the right between to be too simple or to be too complex. And it's not an easy thing. If you are too simple, then you are not really satisfying the user requirement. If you are too complex, then you are becoming difficult for data provider, system provider, service provider to develop the system.